Are you looking for some luxurious and sprawling homes on 1+ acre in the Aledo area? Well, the Bella Flora neighborhoods might seem perfect, but are they the right fit for you and your family? In this video, I'm going to cover the top 4 pros and cons of the Bella neighborhoods so that you can decide for yourself if these beautiful homes are worth the price tag. Okay, now before we jump straight into that pro and con list, I did want to give a little disclaimer that when I say Bella Flora, sometimes I'm meaning the whole neighborhood, and sometimes I'm referencing the specific section of the neighborhood that's gated and guarded. And the reason for that is because the legal subdivision name that's like recorded with the county, all of it is Bella Flora. But then you have the kind of the public facing names that are on the signs and that are referencing these 3 separate sections. Bella Crossing, the newest, Bella Ranch, the central, and then Bella Flora, which is the gated and guarded section. So as we go forward, just remember that it is a little bit confusing occasionally, so I apologize, but I do try to note which one I'm talking about when I say Bella Flora, whether it's the neighborhoods or whether it's just a gated and guarded section. So let's get started with that pro and con list. Okay, well, getting started with pro number 4, and that's going to be kind of the selection or choices that you have when looking in the Bella Flora neighborhoods. Now, throughout this video, I'm going to reference Bella Crossing, Bella Ranch, and Bella Flora, the gated section or the guarded section. And so if you're kind of unfamiliar with that, I do have another video over here that's really going to be a deep dive and explanation of the Bella Flora neighborhoods. But just know as we go forward. But the different sections of Bella Flora are going to have kind of like a different style or flavor of homes. So you've got Bella Crossing, which is the newest section of the Bella Flora neighborhoods, and that is going to have the newest construction homes. It's going to have some big homes. It's going to have some more modern style homes. That also, honestly, some of these are the most expensive that I've seen recently. I'm not saying all of them are, but I've seen lots of new constructions in the over $1 million range, and we'll talk about maybe some of the cons and where the pricing sits in that later in the video. But pro number 4 is just you have all these different options. So Bella Crossing has the newest construction and maybe some of the most modern style homes. Looking for new construction, you like modern, then Bella Crossing is going to be a great fit for you, but it might be the most expensive-ish. Moving over into Bella Ranch, that's going to have probably the most affordable homes in the neighborhood right now. And it's going to more traditional, maybe more, traditional might be a good way to say it. It's not like ranch style, but these are kind of like, you've got the 2,600 to 4,000 square feet, lots of 1-stories that are big square foot, footprints, or maybe they have a game room and a bedroom upstairs, big living space, an open kitchen with an island. So that's going to be kind of that mid-2000s up to the late teens style home. Not going to have a lot of super modern styles over there, but you are going to get maybe the most affordable price points in that Bella Ranch section. And then you move over to Bella Flora, like the gated and guarded section of Bella Flora. And that is, in my opinion, going to have the highest construction quality or kind of that high-end construction style. So there's lots of homes over there where you walk in and it's just 20-foot ceilings everywhere. Maybe it's a giant 1-story home. You've got 12, 15, 20-foot ceilings, or maybe it's a 2-story home and it still has 12-foot ceilings underneath the 2nd story. And then you might move into a living space or the master where you're going to have 15+ feet. And you can just really tell that even though this home is getting close to 20 years old, these homes were built and were high-end construction. And you just don't get a lot of that like design, the style, some of the flair might be a strong word for this, but there's just some stuff that they really don't do. And so if you don't like the super modern style, but you do want that high-end feel, the Bella Flora section, they're gonna have some of those homes and some really neat homes over there. So Pro 4 is just the different selection and choices you have when considering the Bella Flora neighborhoods as a whole. And like other videos and even some of my other Bella Flora videos, I'm going to have a link in the description below that's going to let you browse homes in all of the Bella Flora neighborhoods with no registration, no email, no sign-in, nothing's required. Just take a look, poke around. If you do have questions about anything, feel free to put it in the description or contact me directly, and let's keep this list rolling. Okay, now moving to pro number 3, and it is a bit situational depending on where you are in this subdivision, kind of like con number 3, which we'll get to in a little bit. But pro number 3 is going to be the safety aspect of living in the Bella Flora area. Now, I do have to say that if you're in the Bella Crossing section, this really doesn't apply to you. And it's not to say that Bella Crossing is not safe, but there is no added safety features to Bella Crossing that would give this the pro of safety. Because Bella Ranch, the middle section, is gated. So they have gates with PIN codes, and homeowners would have like clickers. Now, one thing to note is that those gates are oftentimes open during the day, during the week, but on weekends and nights, they are closed. So that's gonna add a safety barrier, a level of increased safety, just keeping people out of the neighborhood that don't really need to be there. So that's something to know about Bella Ranch. Now, why do they keep it open during the day, during the week? I'm not 100% certain. I have a theory that it might be to keep the neighborhood from being responsible to maintain the roads. Because if you are a gated neighborhood that keeps your gates closed, those roads become the neighborhood's responsibility to maintain. So that may be a way they get around it, keep their HOA dues down so that like the homeowners don't have to pay to maintain the roads. I don't know. But where you really get the safety feature, where this Pro 3 really shines, is in the Bella Flora section, the gated and guarded section. So it has a totally separate entrance. You have to drive past the entrance to Bella Crossing and Bella Ranch, turn up 1187, and you have a guardhouse. So there are 2 lanes to go into the neighborhood. You have like the right lane, which is where like homeowners and residents can come in because they have like either fobs or things that just will open the gate for them and it closes. Every time I go in, I got to pull into the left lane, got to wait for the security guard. They're nice, right? But got to wait for the security guard to kind of, poke his head out, gets my name, gets my company name, what house am I there to see, or why am I here? So like I have an off-market property, like a seller with a home that they're trying to sell but don't want it on the market yet. Because it's not a publicly listed home, that homeowner has to call up there and tell the gate guard who's going to be coming by and give them their name so I'm on their list. Because you can't just say, I want to come and look at 123 Villa Milano inside Bella Flora. Like if you're not on that person's list, they're not going to let you in. Now, on a home that's listed, sometimes the homeowner will say, hey, if they say they're here to see my house, that's okay. But then sometimes they'll say, hey, nope, they have to be on our list. So you have to schedule the showing early enough that they can call up and let the security guard know who's going to be coming. So that's pro number 3, the safety. So if you are if safety is a top priority and you really want to make sure that, people can't just drive around, check stuff out, then Bella Ranch and Bella Flora are going to be great neighborhoods to look into. Okay, now I'm trying to find the best way to give a label to pro number 2, because I don't want to say location and do like a location on the pro and con, because spoiler alert, location is going to be a con and it's going to be a big one. So stick around for that. But what I do want to communicate is that pro number 2 is going to be like the proximity to outdoor recreation, specifically golf courses and shooting courses. So you have multiple golf courses nearby with more coming soon. You have Pecan Valley Golf Course, which has 2 separate courses. You have Whitestone Golf Club, which is, like 5 minutes from the entrance of Bella Flora. And then you even have a Benbrook par 3 small course, and I think there's a driving range over there, so just for quick outings and practice, you've got that. And then if you're a shooter, so honestly guys, I'm not a big golfer, I just didn't grow up doing it, I'm not very good at it. I'll go and have fun with people, but I'm pretty sure I lose on average 1 golf ball per hole. And so that's me. You don't even want to know what my handicap is because it's ridiculous. So for those of you who maybe aren't golfers or who also like to shoot, there's 2 outdoor shooting ranges. They're both shotgun ranges. So you have Fort Worth Trap and Skeet. That is a members only. It's really pretty affordable. So you can do trap and skeet there. And then Defender Outdoors, they have an indoor gun range in Fort Worth, but they have their outdoor shooting facility very close to here. And that's where you can do sporting clays. Specifically, that's what I like about it. I think they have some like trap and stuff as well. But specifically, it's the closest sporting clay facility to Aledo or to Fort Worth. You got to go all the way to like Kennedale if you want to get to the next one, or way north from the places I've played. So whether you are a golfer or you like to shoot like trap and skeet or sporting clays, there are multiple options very close to the neighborhood. And so when you come in, you want to do something, let me know. We'll go hang out for an afternoon. Okay, now pro number one, and this is the biggest reason that I hear people decide to purchase in the Bella Flora neighborhood. And that's what I'm gonna call like the neighborhood design or the neighborhood layout. And you are getting all minimum 1 acre lots, some 1 to 2 acre lots. I've seen slightly larger here and there. You have these rolling hills and like this serene landscape. And you actually only get this pro number one with what con number one at the end of the video is going to be. So stick around for that. But you've got this like rolling, sprawling neighborhood where if you're on the top of a hill, you may have a great view and you might kind of see out past the other homes in the neighborhood and out into maybe some pasture land. Maybe you can see, just some really good views from your backyard. Or maybe you are set up on the exterior of the neighborhood, so you kind of have some privacy, not a lot of neighbors around you. So that's one of the things that really typically draws and really grabs people is like the neighborhood feel and design, and you only get that by having this neighborhood kind of where it is. So definitely like the neighborhood design, the layout, the feel that you get when you're driving through and looking around, that's definitely going to be pro number one. Okay, now that I've told you all the great things about Bella Flora, and before I scare you away with the cons, if this is your first time on the channel and you want to know everything there is to know about living in the Aledo area, or you're considering moving here with your family and you haven't yet, hit the subscribe button. And if you are really thinking about it and you have plans, whether it's next week or next year, feel free to reach out. Let's get that conversation started so we can get you honed in on the neighborhood that's best for you, because it might not be Bella Flora after you hear some of these cons. So let's stick around and get to these cons. Okay, well, starting with con number 4, we're gonna work our way down the list to get to the biggest con at the end of the video, so stick around for that. But in my opinion, con number 4 is gonna be the average sales price or the home values that you're gonna have to pay if you wanna get into Bella Flora. So in 2024, the average sold home was $1,001,699. So just a smidge over $1 million was the average sales price last year, which maybe you haven't seen some of my other videos about the Aledo area as a whole, but the average sales price of a home in Aledo ISD in general is between $600,000 and $700,000. So if you want to be in Bella Flora, you should right off the bat expect to pay about 50% more than the average, sales price or the average home in the Aledo ISD area as a whole, which that's kind of a lot of money, right? So now you can find some homes that may be in the mid to high 7s, some in the 8s, a good amount maybe in the 900s, but as a general rule, you should be expecting to pay plus or minus $1 million if you want to be in the Bella Flora area. And they have homes that are, we're looking at some with clients that are, 1.5, 1.3. I'm not looking at this one with a client, but there's one that's over $2 million. It's like 2.3, cool house. But the average sales price is going to price this neighborhood out of many people's budgets. So that's going to be one of the first things that you should know about. And now maybe that's not a con to you, right? Maybe you're an executive or, you want to make sure you're around other people who kind of have that same ability to purchase for some reason, and maybe the network is important to you. But as a general rule, it is above average for the Aledo ISD area on price point. And so that's going to be a negative in my book for most people. Because if you want a home that is plus or minus 3,000 square feet on an acre, maybe has a pool, if you're willing to look at a home that is 5, 10, or 15 years older than what you're going to be looking at in Bella Flora, you can find something for, $600,000 to $800,000. So you can find similar homes in different areas that will save you a couple $100,000 if you're willing to give and flex on certain things. Now, maybe you want a home that's only 10 years old and you want an acre and you want it, something specific. Maybe Bella Flora is the right fit for you. But if you want a home that meets that general criteria, the large lot, the 3,000 plus or minus square feet, you can find neighborhoods that are less expensive than Bella Flora. Okay, now con number 3 and con number 2 were kind of a toss-up for me. Wasn't sure where I would place them, but what I went ahead and did was that con number 2 that we're about to go over in a minute impacts everyone as a part of living in the neighborhood. So con number 3 that we're about to touch on right now is very situational and only impacts certain people. So con number 3 is actually the schools. Not all of the Bella Flora neighborhoods are in Aledo ISD. So that's a huge con for those people, but for the neighborhood as a whole, it's only a portion. So to be very specific, we're gonna throw up an image right here that you can kind of see the approximate Aledo ISD boundaries. And what you'll see is that actually a big chunk of Bella Crossing, the newest section, is in Fort Worth ISD, not Aledo ISD. And then Bella Ranch, the middle section, and Bella Flora, the far west or the left section on the screen, there's a very small percentage of homes that are not in Aledo ISD. And now those homes are probably going to take a pretty big hit on value. And if you are looking in those neighborhoods, you absolutely need to know what your home falls in, because it's important. Not only if you have kids, but for resale value, for the current value, even for looking at comps when you're making an offer on a home. Maybe you don't have kids and you're not worried about the schools for yourself personally, but you really shouldn't be using a home that's in Fort Worth ISD as a comparable for a home that's in Aledo or vice versa. So con number 3 is the schools, because some areas of these neighborhoods are not in Aledo ISD. They're in Fort Worth ISD. What I jokingly say is that nobody moves to Fort Worth for the schools. It's the exact opposite for Aledo. A lot of people move to Aledo for the schools. So that's going to be important to know. Okay, now moving to con number 2, in my opinion, is just the fact that there's really no amenities out in any of these neighborhoods. So you do have an HOA. There are HOA dues. Bella Crossing is like $700 a year. $700 a year. Bella Ranch is like $500 a year. And then Bella Flora, the gated and guarded section, is going to be over $2,600 a year. A little over $200 a month. Now, you're getting a gate guard and a gate, right? And people are being checked when they come in and out of the neighborhood. But there's really no amenities. There's no pools. There's no amenity centers. There's no walking trails. There's no sidewalks, which is also, it is kind of a nice thing, right? You get your big lots, lots of big front yards. But, you're paying these HOA dues really just for people to monitor the neighborhood and keep up with it, make sure the neighbors aren't doing anything they shouldn't do. Now, if you do go to Bella Flora, the gated and guarded section, they do have a very small walking section. They do have some small green space and a couple of ponds, like small ponds. But there's no amenities really to speak of in any of these sections. So if you really want a home with a pool, you're gonna need to buy one with a pool or build your own pool, which is expensive. So if those types of things are important to you, that's a pretty big con for this neighborhood. You're looking at, an average of a $1 million purchase. And then if you want a pool, you got to build a pool. So that's going to be con number 2. We're about to move to con number 1, which is, in my opinion, the biggest con. So check it out. Okay, now for the grand finale, the final con, the biggest con in my opinion, con number 1 is the location. You're just kind of way out there. There are lots of places in Aledo that are closer to downtown Fort Worth, if that's where you're going to be working from. From the front entrance of Bella Flora, like Bella Ranch, Bella Crossing, you're going to be 25 to 30 minutes from downtown Fort Worth. You should probably add another 5 or 10 minutes if you are in the gated section of Bella Flora. Now, on top of that, there's not many areas further away from the schools than the Bella Flora neighborhoods. So you're going to be plus or minus 20 minutes from the high school. A little over 20 minutes if you go up to 20 and cut across, and you're gonna be a tad under 20 minutes, maybe 17, 18 minutes. If you kind of go the back roads, you go up 1187 where it connects to 377. That's if you don't get stuck at the railroad track. So the high school is on the north side of the railroad track. Obviously, Bella Flora is kind of way south Aledo ISD. So if you happen to get stuck at the railroad when the train was crossing, and I've seen the train do some weird things. I've seen it sit still. I've seen it slow down. I've seen it like barely move across. You could easily add another 5 or 10 minutes to that 17 or 18-minute drive to the high school. Now, the high school is the furthest away from where you're going to be at if you're in the Bella Flora area. You're going to be looking at maybe 13 minutes from Aledo Middle School, so maybe plan for 15, depending on where you're coming from, exactly in the neighborhood. And then you're a little over 10 minutes from Vandergrift Elementary. So the elementary school is the closest, the middle school is a little further, the high school is even further, and it's on the other side of the railroad tracks. And so you're just like real far out from possibly work and probably schools. And to combine those two, if you are dropping your kids off at school and you work in Fort Worth, you're going to be somewhere between 10 to 20 minutes from dropping the kids off at school, and then you're going to add another 20 to 30 minutes to get into downtown Fort Worth. Really, actually, you're probably looking at least 25 to 30 if you're heading from the schools into downtown. I'm going to have to say that the location is by far one of the biggest negatives. Now, I do have some clients that bought over there and they work from home. So that like totally negates the work aspect, and their kids are very young, so they currently don't drive to those schools. But that's going to be something that comes up at some point, is just you're kind of far out. On top of that location, there's not a lot of great shopping close by. You're even further away from like the Aledo shopping. So your closest shopping is going to be in Benbrook. And that has just very basic necessities. I mean, it's like a Walmart. That's kind of like the closest grocery store to the area. And so location is by far, in my opinion, the biggest negative of Bella Flora. But as you've seen, there were some great positives. Okay, thanks for watching. And if you are still interested, even after hearing these cons, remember there is a public collection link that's gonna let you browse homes in this neighborhood with no sign-in, no registration, no email needed. And if you are getting to the point where a move to Aledo is likely or possible, whether it's next week or next year, feel free to reach out. All my contact information is in the description box below, and I'd love to help you find that perfect home for you and your family. And if it's your first time on the channel and you haven't done it yet and you want to be kept up to date, make sure to hit that subscribe button, and I'll see you on the next video.